Dreams will all come true, growing old with you, and time will...
This album was kind of a labor of love for me. My first album was definitely a big thing that happened, and it kind of happened to me. This time I wanted to make an album that I made happen, that I put together. And what it is that I've been singing a concert, my cabaret, my show, solo show, all around the country really for the last 3 or 4 years. And I was selling my old album, which I love, but it's not a representation of the show I've been doing. So this year I said, you know what, I'm going to go into the studio and I'm going to record my cabaret show. It's definitely personal. It wasn't really a concept of any sort, you know, like Kelli sings Rodgers and Hammerstein. Although when I go to my heart, I find a lot of Rodgers and Hammerstein songs in there. I really wanted to make this as a memory. I'm a singer, and a lot of people say that, you know, no one's making albums anymore. Well, my grandchildren, I want there to be an album that represents what I've been doing in this part of my life.
Is a man who thinks with his heart. His heart is not always wise.
Some people would call my old album eclectic. They may call this album eclectic. But the point is that I guess I'm a little eclectic in my musical choices because I have crazy influences. I like to say in my show that I grew up on a farm in Oklahoma where I was singing country music, gospel music, and then I started studying opera. So, I mean, talk about a huge jump. But in my house, in my grandparents' home, always American standards playing. Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Nat King Cole. Those types of things were in the back of my head always. So through all of this, kind of the American Songbook has been the soundtrack of my life. So I wanted to show that all music can actually come together if one person is communicating it. So I have this kind of old standards, but then I have these songs of today, Ricky and Gordon, Adam Gettles and Robert Brown, Tom Kitt. I have all of these people coming together because there are these wonderful songs of yesterday, and it's still going. That's the point. It's still being written, and we'll look back in 50 years and we'll say these are the classics from today.
I'll be loving you always.
It kind of represents the whole picture. I loved the idea of Kelli O'Hara always because, like I said, this is a memory for me. I'll always be singing. I've always been singing, but also you know, it goes back to how I started singing in the first place. I was singing at weddings, and Irving Berlin actually wrote the song for his own wedding. It was the song that was in my grandparents' wedding. I think that it's just a song that embodies a kind of a simplistic idea of everlasting love, and I want the joy and the positivity of this album to shine through. Sammy Kahn's widow, Tita Kahn, had called me on the phone and said, I think you should sing more songs written for men to sing. And so I got an idea in my head. What are the songs that have moved me so much but they're not mine to sing? You know, the ones that I always sit backstage and listen to and think, oh, I know exactly what that means and how that feels, but it's not mine to sing. And one of the biggest ones for me was This Nearly Was Mine, because I would sit back in South Pacific every night or stand off stage and watch Paolo Shot sing that song. The sentiment in it is so incredible for any of us to understand what that means. I almost had something and then it was out of my grasp, and how bitterly sad that is. And so I knew that emotion. It's an operatic feeling kind of song because it just moves and it grows and grows. It turned out to be something that was very emotional to me. So I love singing it. I hope nobody minds.
He will not always say what you would have him say.
If you've ever dated a man who is amazing, but he has big dreams, but they'll never come true. They wrote that for The King and I. Hammerstein wrote the words. The melody is just, when it comes to the end, when you're saying, but I'll love him, you know, Rodgers grows this melody, and then you're crying because you're going to stick with your man. You know, I mean, this happened. This comes right in here, right today.
Is it
I wanted to have an Adam Guettel song on my album. I had to have one. But I've recorded The Light in the Piazza. I think I wanted to put on my album what was the most personal, what meant the most to me. The song rings very true in my heart right now. It's heavy in my heart right now. But also it's one of the first songs I heard of his. After meeting him through Light in the Piazza, I went back and listened to Floyd Collins. There was just something about that song that was so lyrically driven, so communicative. And I wanted songs like that to be on this album. And so I said, what about How Glory Goes? I love Ricky and Gordon. Right after I did The Light in the Piazza the first time, I came back and I did a show called My Life with Albertine that he wrote. We did it at Playwrights with Richard Nelson. And I have a degree in opera, and so I came to the city trying to belt and trying to sing rock and pop and doing Jekyll and Hyde and things that felt really wrong. And so when I sang the score from My Life with Albertine, I finally felt like I was singing my music. My voice was singing. And that's what Ricky writes. The one song that I love of his that's on the album, it's very earthy. It's called Once I Was, but the subject matter is so beautiful as well, because it's basically saying there was a time when I was innocent and now I'm grown, and I know things about the world now, and this is how I've changed, and it's positive, and it's simple.
Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not for just a year.